What's going on, beautiful people of YouTube? This has been requested a ton in my DMs, so let's try to make something like sudden death. I've got a lot of recommendations on Patreon about the How to XY artist series. I just wanted to say the artists you've been recommending make a tremendous amount of styles. So for example, this sudden death track or this sudden death tutorial won't work for all the sudden death genres or all the sudden death subgenre tracks. So next time you're recommending someone, you should also put in a track title. For example, a lot of people requested Samplifier, but I don't know which Samplifier should I do. Should I do the OG Black Label Samplifier, or should I do the Samplifier who does almost exclusively square 4 edits of popular tracks? Which Samplifier do you guys want to hear? Thank you guys for supporting the YouTube channel. It really means the world to me. I have big news. We just became YouTube partners, so that's big. I just launched the YouTube community channel thing, and there are also memberships now. So members will have early access to the videos, and there's a bunch of cool little things that you can have if you're a member. I only have one membership and it costs $4.99 US. That's like next to nothing nowadays, unfortunately. Yeah, if any of you might like to do that, I don't know, I'm new to YouTube. It might change. I gotta experiment with it, but leave some suggestions in the comments what you guys would want to have for YouTube memberships. You probably know more than me. Yeah, I just wanted to say that quickly. Let's get back to the video. This project file is going to be downloadable on my Patreon, so if you're not subscribed yet, this is the time to do it. If you're not an Ableton user though, you can download the Serum presets and the stems. If it's something that you're looking for, you can use those. Let's get cracking with the video. First of all, the drums are extremely simple. I have some basic kick drums next to no processing. I elevated the high end and boosted them a little bit, but it's nothing extraordinary. Then I have this clap, which is EQ'd like crazy, because if you really analyze sudden death tracks, his claps usually hit between 1 and 2 kilohertz. I boosted 2 kilohertz in this instance, and I have a snare reverb, which I made. The way I made this extremely loud was a technique. I don't know if it's like something that other people do, but essentially I'm using a clean limiter, which is called Loudmax. It's a true peak limiter that doesn't distort at all. And after I use this to flatten the sound without distortion, then I use a clipper to distort just a little bit. So it sounds like this with the kick. Then I have my usual tambourine under the kick, ride 1, ride 2, hi-hats, and then the drop group. On the drop group, we have a saturator on soft sine 100%. This might be a little too aggressive, but lately all of sudden death tracks have crazy amounts of distortion and noise. So we're gonna use that to our advantage. So saturator, soft sine 100%, color can be turned off. No need for clipping at this point, and then EQing the highs just a little bit, because tube saturators like saturator can take away the high end quite a bit. Our bass sample is a short Serum bounce gun, I believe. I don't have the original sample anymore because I made this project on a lesson a while back, like in 2022, I believe. I had to replace some of the samples, but in short, we have 2 machine gun basses. The first one playing a higher note, and the second one playing mostly the tonal parts. On the first one, we have a couple of effects. I'm not going to go over everything, but this is how it sounds with and without the effects. The main part being the fake disperser and distortion in multipass, which lets you distort, put chorus, or any kind of kilohertz effect in just a certain frequency range, which is pretty unique and pretty cool. The second layer is the exact same thing, I believe, but with a little bit of a different processing. The main thing here is Serum Effects All Passes Filter, resonance on 50%, cutoff on a low setting. That will elongate the sound and make it delayed and metallic. So after that, you can use a lot of compression and frequency shifting to make it sound weird. Both of them together sound like this. Then I made a small little hi-hat or ride-esque sound from the same thing. And then I created another ride-like sound. So the way to do this is, for example, you could freeze one of the basses without the sub part. Let's just freeze this part of the gun. I'm gonna pull this down to a brand new channel. I'm gonna zoom in. Sounds like this. Sounds cool. Now we're gonna use a frequency shifter. We're gonna pitch it up so it sounds like noise. And we're also gonna take a super small part of it, which is pretty loud, and then fade it in a little bit so it's not clicking every time it repeats. But, you know, just try to make at least a half bar long section and then Ctrl J to consolidate it. This will make it a repeating cycle of annoying high frequency sounds. Now you can use fades to make it look like a ride, for example. You can play around with the frequency shifter, freeze and flatten all over again, or just use erosion and put some noise on it. But not so much that it overshadows the tonality. Just make it sound weird. Now you could also use Corpus to bring in some random tonal content. Make sure it's not too obvious, and then just use another frequency shifter to make it weird. And now if you freeze and flatten this sound, this would make for a good ride. So that's what I did essentially in this channel here. The looping part is shorter. As you can see, it's 1/64, not 1/256. That's the only thing changed. One simple thing that changed was that I used a ring mod and a reverb filter on Serum Effects. So I just added noise in a different way, basically. And we have this background sound, which is an extremely stretched version of this. That's why it repeats. And I just EQ'd it out in a way that it's not conflicting with the main sounds. Added Trash 2 for some crazy distortion, the original Trash 2. What this does is it basically just creates a cabinet-like distortion, which I really enjoy for background sounds, and I just use LFO tool to make it pulse to the rhythm. Nothing too complicated, in my opinion. But the main beef, the meat, the thickness, the chunk comes from the sub bass and this interesting thing that I never seen any other producer pull off. If you listen carefully, Sudden Death usually uses a first odd harmonic boosting method or technique, whatever you want to call it, and it goes a little something like this. In this instance, I have one sub that is a Serum sub, which is just pulsating on a quarter note rhythm. Nothing fancy, no noise, no nothing. I'm gonna pull up a Pro Q on the master so you can see what's happening. Keep in mind that the added harmonics are from the distortion in the group. This is just a clean sine wave, nothing else. The Sudden Death sauce comes from this different channel that I EQ'd in a certain way. So I just used the Square 64 preset, but you could just draw in your own harmonics. Then you need an amp on lead, which will boost the sub like crazy, and it will add a sizzling distortion, like almost like a fuzz distortion, which is really useful. And then you can just EQ out the fundamental part, or just pull it down, whatever. With the distortion though, it sounds better if you have the sub fundamental on, but after that you can EQ out the fundamental sub and all the mud at around 300, as you can see here, and then it will sound like this without the EQ. So this together with the sub acts like kind of an impact for the beginning of the phrase. This other thing, this sustain that he uses in a lot of his tracks is pretty simple to do. All you need is Serum or any kind of FM synthesizer. Really, really simple. You just need one basic shape, sine, another basic shape, sine, and then RM from B or RM from A, whichever way works for you. Basically, you have to play it in the sub octave. So this track is in D, so this is playing D0. If you don't have anything on it, it sounds like this. And then you gotta increase the B octave, obviously. And put the semitones up 12, so it's like 5 octaves. it still sounds too smooth. So to make it a little gritty, you have to drop the carrier octave by 1. So that will make it gritty because the oscillation of the carrier signal is so low that you can hear the fluttering. And now you have to cut out that nasty low end that it introduces, and now it's done. In the second half where it goes up, on that part I just automated it to increase by 7 semitones on the chorus pitch, and that's it. So all together again. Okay, I forgot one thing. At the end, this interesting little glitch fill. That's something that he used, I don't even know in which track. Maybe it was like Deep Space Horror or an older track. I don't recall from the top of my head. I don't recall that track. Blah, English. I cannot speak today again. What I did here is extremely simple. It's a stretched waveform, like a hella stretched waveform. Preferably use a bass sound because it works better with the bass sound, and then stretch it to oblivion, 999 BPM, as you can see. Once you have that, put the grain size all the way up and just tap on the pitch. After tapping on the pitch, open up the editor and then just put a +4 to -4 octave ramp like this, like an automation, and it will make it sound like this. It will basically jump down in pitch, but the grain size is so big, you can hear the grains separated by pitch. So if you put a lot of OTT on it, that sounds pretty cool. Cool and aggressive. I just use a 3 OTT rack. You can use this if you're a patron anyway. So yeah, this is the project. Let's hear the second part again. This is how to sudden death. Thank you guys for sticking around until the end. Make sure to download the project if you're interested. It's up on my Patreon alongside a lot of presets. Unreleased songs will come as well, like unreleased edits and stuff like that. For example, I have a Skrillex Foreign Beggars Scat Nosphere edit drum and bass version. So yeah, that's something, I guess. Have a beautiful evening or morning or midday. See you guys in the next one. Also, if you end up making anything cool with this project or anything that I've put on for Patreon, make sure to tag me because I want to see what you create. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to check out my website for a lot of high quality Serum and Vital presets and drum samples. You can also support me on Patreon where I upload bass music specific tutorial content every single month. Peace.